Have you accepted any money from Tania since you left?
Yes.
Whoa, wait, so you asked to borrow money so you could go to California to see another woman?
Yes.
No, it was to pay his rent.
Because I don't give a f***.
What was that? Wait a minute, back up again?
So it's part 2 of the Tania and Syngin tell-all, and this time we're joined by Tanias mum, who isn't exactly Syngin's biggest fan.
No, I don't want kids. I just want to live free. Wing my hair.
Yep, they're gonna clash. But before we get to that, if you haven't already seen part 1 of the Tania and Syngin tell-all, I'll include a link for you to check out down in the description below. The last episode was a very emotional affair, and part 2 starts backstage with Tania bringing her mum up to speed on what's happened so far.
Natalie, she thinks that Syngin and I aren't actually broken up. And then some of the others think that we should be getting back together. Do you think we should?
No.
You've got to love that look of disgust, and you definitely get the sense that Missy's pleased with Tania's response when she asks, how did you feel about seeing Syngin again?
It's weird, like you have a little bit of butterflies, but then it's also like, yeah, we just weren't good together. Like I'm actually surprised we tried so long.
Good.
Now, keep in mind that Tania and Syngin are still good friends, so before going on stage, Tania tries to warn her mum to be nice, but I'm not sure that Missy's taking any notice.
Don't be too mean.
As for Syngin, well, it seems his nerves are getting the better of him, and he's caught on camera saying he could do with a whiskey right now.
This is a lot of shit, bro.
All right, guys, bathroom break.
So I drink whiskey.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Missy. Hi. I got a lot of questions for you and Tania.
Oh my God.
And with that, the interrogation begins. Question 1. What were the biggest problems in Tania and Syngin's relationship?
My daughter has had plenty of adventures, but she's also goal-oriented. You work hard, you party hard. But you have to work hard. I don't see where he's working towards any goals.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a very diplomatic way of basically saying Syngin needs to get a job. And guess what? Free spirit Syngin is not on board with this. In fact, he's rather offended. He feels like no one understands him.
I'm such a free spirit, people don't even f***ing understand me.
And that works for somebody else, but not for my daughter.
That was quite a strange response from Syngin, don't you think? It caught Sean off guard, that's for sure, and it gives us a little clue as to what's to come. Now, moving on to the next question, Sean asks if Missy was aware that Tania and Syngin were broken up but still sleeping together.
I always told her, do whatever you want to do it. Don't worry about the rest of the world. I'm your mother, and if I'm not judging you, don't worry about anyone.
I don't think there's any doubt that Missy is a loyal and supportive mother who's got her daughter's back. And on that theme of being supportive, Sean's next question is, are you worried about being financially responsible for Syngin? Do you think you might end up having to support him? And her response to this is quite funny. I don't think she means this as an insult, but it does kind of come across as condescending.
I don't think Syngin has much free lifestyle he wants. He'd actually go live off the government. He might live off in a tent, but not off the government.
No, he would never do that.
He's so bad with paperwork,
He won't be able to figure it out.
Guys, be careful what you say here. I mean, publicly calling him too dumb to fill out paperwork might just come back to haunt you, especially when you hear Syngin's response to the next question. And this is where it gets interesting.
Have you accepted any money from Tania since you left?
Yes. She gave me, I think, $2 grand.
Here's the story with the 2,000. He says, hey, my rent's actually due today. The money hasn't come in yet, I'm short. The next day, I see him catching a flight to California.
Are we going there now, eh?
You can sense that this is a topic Syngin would rather not discuss, but Sean isn't willing to let it lie. She asks him, Syngin, why were you going to California? And what happens next catches everyone off guard.
I was gonna go have some fun at the beach.
Well, his rent was due and needed money and waiting on money.
For 1 day. Wow.
But why?
Because I don't give a f***.
Wow, what a strange reaction to a perfectly legitimate question. And while I accept it's not a topic that he's comfortable with, he clearly doesn't want to talk about it, it also gives us an insight into just how quickly he can snap. And sensing that there might be more to this story than meets the eye, Sean asks, Syngin, who were you meeting at the beach?
I'm not saying anything about all those things.
We've got to take a second to just appreciate how ironic this situation is. I mean, he's being paid to appear on a show about his dating life, yet refuses to confirm what we all know, that he's flown to California to go on a date.
But the whole thing is, if it was just a friend or just a guy, you would have been like, oh, just a guy friend. But instead, you were seeing someone else and you still hit up me, and that's what hurt the most.
For his part, Syngin just doesn't understand what the big deal is.
What's the big deal?
And remarkably, he tries to shift the blame onto Tanya, which, as you can imagine, Tania's mum does not like.
Well, it's not my fault you're looking wherever I'm going, so I don't know. Like, I just need...
What was that? Wait a minute, back up again?
You can literally see the terror in Syngin's eyes. So he backpedals, attempts to de-escalate the situation before it really kicks off with Tania's mum, and he tries to claim that actually I only needed that money for one day.
I needed $2,000 for one day, bro.
Yeah.
But whether or not the money was only for one day, Debbie wants Syngin to apologise to Tania, and that's where another disagreement starts.
Apologize to her.
Oh, I have so many times. I've given, like, everything is cool already.
You've never apologized for that day. You've justified it so many times.
I've never apologized for that day? Are you serious right now?
And despite the fact that Syngin backs down and eventually does apologise...
Oh my God, okay. I'm sorry.
Just that little exchange gives us an insight into exactly what their married life was like. Full of bickering, full of arguments, and just two very different people.
I think we're all in agreement this is great that these two did not continue.
Sean then moves the conversation along and shows footage of Syngin's date with Kira. And while Tania seems very encouraging...
She's gorgeous.
She's very pretty.
You don't want to hurt my feelings?
You can't help but notice just how sheepish and almost embarrassed Syngin looks. Why that look? Well, it could be because he knows what's about to come. The inevitable question about having kids.
Did Syngin say to you he never wanted kids?
Yeah. He said, I know for sure I do not want kids.
How would you feel, let's say in 3-4 years, Syngin finds someone new and happens to get her pregnant?
Part of me is going to feel like, damn, like, why couldn't he do it with me?
And here's the thing, while the thought of this clearly makes Tania emotional, I think she can see what Debbie and everyone else can see, which is they're just not right for each other.
Yeah. And then I would feel happy because I do think he'd be a great father. Like, I feel like he'd be an amazing father.
But he wouldn't be a good husband.
No. But
And on that topic of being a good husband, being a good partner, Tania asks Syngin, how ready were you for this date with Kira? Are you really ready to move on from me?
did you feel ready to, like, move on?
I just wanted to be open to the universal possibility. I didn't want to close myself down and maybe miss an opportunity that comes my way or meet somebody that I'm supposed to meet because I was closed up.
And Syngin's apparent openness to meeting new people leads to Tania giving him a word of warning.
You met me, you were open to the universe, and it didn't end too well. Like, I want you to be so happy, and I really feel like you need to focus on yourself and getting yourself really together. You can say you are, but you're not, baby. You're not.
Now, while she doesn't elaborate on what exactly he needs to work on, in the last episode she did hint that Syngin has some unhealthy habits, including his drinking. The problem is, and this goes back to one of the many reasons they didn't last, Syngin isn't ready or willing to change his ways.
I also enjoy not being all together.
So the tell-all ends with the pair of them vowing to stay friends and expressing how much they still care for each other, but Tania in particular seems very aware that during a divorce, that can all change and things may not always be this rosy.
We do talk, we're still friends, and I want the best for Syngin.
I just hope that wherever you meet next, you know, he's a lot better than me, he travels more, he has more money than me, he's better looking, he's stronger, and he gives you 7 children.
So, I mean, we'll see. Like, I do wish the best for him, but who knows? Like, something can come up that, like, really hurts one another, and sometimes you lash out, comes out as anger, and I just pray Syngin and I can stay on, like, good terms.
What do you think? Will they be able to stay good friends? Or do you predict that something's going to pop up and ruin that friendship? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And hey, if you like this video, you might also like some of the other videos that are on screen now. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.